Alright everybody, so this video is going to be a little different today. I'm going to actually commit to doing a little bit of editing so that we can have several different videos happening in this YouTube collection here. So this video we're going to have a little harbor tour in the dinghy. So we're going to get out of the boat. I'm going to put the camera on my head, looking like a total douche. You guys owe me for this one. But we're going to get in the dinghy and we're going to take a little dinghy tour around the harbor. And then I got a fishing rod, finally. So I'm fishing off the boat. Well, I'll tell you that. Anyway, so we'll show just a little bit of fishing right around dark. And then had a real stormy night before last. So I took a little video during that, and then I took a little video the morning after, so I'll show you all that stuff. And then we're gonna take a little walk around St. John, and I'll show you that as well. And we'll do normal update stuff. So yeah, here we go. Okay, so you guys have been asking for some day-to-day filming a little bit, so that's what we're gonna do right here. So I put on the little head cam, and we're gonna leave the boat and we're gonna take a little dinghy ride around the harbor. So first thing we got to do is we got to drop the ladder. I got to replace that ladder with something, a whole different system. I want to put a step on the back. This boat is difficult to get on and off of. You're gonna see me holding on to the backstay and just hanging off the back of that thing, and I'm not level. My feet are like, you know, in front of my body, forward of my body, so I'm truly using my arm and my hand holding on to that backstay to hang on to the boat as my body, gravity wants to pull me off the boat completely into the water. So it's not ideal, it's tough. I need to get a little boarding ladder to go on the side of the boat. That's what you typically did before they had sterns with swim platforms and stuff, is you would board on the side of the boat. And I need to get a little ladder to throw off the side and be able to get on and off the dinghy that way. Because especially, like, it's fine for me, it's fine for a lot of people that are boat people. You know, like when I brought the mechanic on board and the sailmaker, you know, they're boat people. They're used to, you know, climbing on and off of boats. But, you know, what if I bring somebody onto the boat that's, you know, older and not fit, whatever. You know, my surveyor, he couldn't do that. He couldn't get off the dinghy onto the boat like that. He wouldn't be able to. Anyway, get in the dinghy. If there's any rain, you got to bail the water out. Luckily, to this time, there wasn't much rain the night before, just a little bit, so there's not much to bail out. Oftentimes, there's a lot more than that. The dinghy is reliable and starts on the first pull pretty much every time. Yeah, the other morning, man, yesterday morning, I got in the dinghy to go get my passport photo made and then go to deal with renewing my passport in town. There was a lot of water. I mean, my flip-flops were just floating around in the dinghy. There was so much water in there. We had, you know, it was that night that I filmed earlier in this video where I talked about all the rain. Yeah, that was brutal. So here we go. I stand up in this dinghy because it's just me. I can get my weight very far forward, so I hang on to that line attached to the front, and I got the tiller extension, that silver thing on the tiller of the motor, and I can stand up and get my weight forward, and it's great. I get a really great view and it's comfortable. Also, if I'm sitting on the side of the dinghy, it pushes one side of the dinghy down really low because, you know, I'm a big boy, I'm a fat boy. So then one of the handles in the rear that you can kind of see right there, it will drag underwater and it'll cause water to spray up on me while I'm sitting on the side of the dinghy. So it just doesn't really work for me to sit on the side of the dinghy. Standing up is awesome. Gets my weight forward, makes it plane really easily. And I'm really stable, and it's quite pleasant actually for me, and I can see really well. So that on the right there, that is a racer cruiser, brand new design, huge wide stern. They sailed that thing over from Great Britain a couple weeks ago. They arrived. Crazy fast boat, twin rudder, modern design like that. Super fast. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, everything's a trade-off. There's big downsides to that. But you know, one of the things, that guy's pretty cool. He's a young guy. He bought his boat in Florida in April, took it back to Maine, worked on it all summer. Dan is his name, and then sailed down with the Salty Dogs. But those modern design racer cruisers, you know, they did the design for performance, strictly for sailing performance originally, based on racing boats. And then what they found is that design also lended itself to a voluminous interior. And so they loved it. That is actually kind of what my arch is going to look like, with those huge solar panels and the dinghy hanging down off of it below it, but up really high. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a young couple. They got 2 young girls. I think they're girls. They got 2 young kids. I met them. They were moored or docked, I guess, at the Sailing Life dock briefly before they moved out and anchored out. They were taking care of some boat stuff. But so I'm headed over to the side of the anchorage, where I don't know, you typically don't go. Well, that's not true. Cloggies is over there. That marina right there has a really good restaurant and bar. It's a Dutch guy that owns it. So that's why it's called Cloggies. That's a common Dutch term. So there's a couple marinas over there, but man, there are some really shallow areas right there, down to, you know, a foot deep at times. So you got to know where you're going to take a boat over there. Little sketchy, but I like Cloggies, and also I guess I'll take the dinghy to Cloggies sometimes, to walk over to a couple of other businesses that are up on the road near that area. Sweet Teas is over there. I like eating at Sweet Teas. It's funny, the owner there, because like everybody gets kind of fast food type stuff there. They get burgers and fried chicken strips and stuff, but they do a traditional lunch plate, a traditional Caribbean lunch plate, which is rice and peas, they call it, but rice and beans. There's not many beans though, it's mostly rice. Anyway, and then they do a meat of some sort in there, usually a stewed meat or some kind of curry meat that's stewed also. Occasionally like a barbecue chicken or something off the grill, and then they'll do some vegetables too, whether it's, you know, it's whatever they got, you know, it's whether it's carrots and green beans, or whether it's all root vegetables, like local root vegetables. You never know what it's going to be, but yeah, traditional Caribbean plate. But whenever I get that, well, twice I've gotten that at Sweet Teas, and the owner, whenever she's been working, she comes by and she says, she's an older lady, she says, oh, it's so nice to see a tourist eat the local food. I'm a tourist. I am. I'm just not a tourist that's here for a week, you know. I'm a tourist that's been here a while, but whatever. I'm still a tourist. I'm still a white boy from the States. I get it. But she doesn't know that I just like that kind of food all the time. Let's see. We're headed out. So that's the entrance exit to the harbor, dead ahead. So we're headed up that direction. It's going to get a little choppier here as we get closer to there. You know, I wanted to kind of show you the boats. It's hard with the GoPro. You know, you can't see the boats that well, even though I'm getting pretty close to them. It's just a wide angle lens. And again, I got the headgear on, so you're just looking at whatever I'm looking at. So sometimes I need to look down at the dinghy. But yeah, there's the entrance exit to the harbor. Now over to our left is the beach, Pigeon Point Beach. So I'm going to get kind of close to the beach, but not really. So there's a bunch of catamarans and a few Brave monohulls over there to the left. And you can see the sands of the beach over there too. It's shallow over there. I took my dinghy over there and went all the way in towards the beach, and there's tons of, you know, 1 foot deep to 2 foot deep sections over there. The catamarans can do it. The monohulls, I'm like, you're crazy weaving around in this stuff. But hey, I did a sailing vacation with Captain Phil and Laura, and Captain Phil was willing to go into some pretty sketch areas too. He just had me up on the bow pointing out the coral heads, and he was going around them. I'm like, you're crazy, man. But I guess if you want to go to some cool places, that's just what it is. There's a couple people hanging out on their boat. He gave us a little wave there. There was a shallow spot, lighter color. There's lighter color under me right there. That's not terribly shallow. That's probably 4 feet or something. But you can see these boats have to get in between those spots, these monohulls anyway. The cats, they don't have to worry about it so much. But yeah, you can see all those shallow areas. The camera does a nice job here. You know, that's a super shallow area right there. I mean, you could actually see, you know, you could see the plants on the bottom there. That was a foot deep right there. I worry my dinghy's gonna, I worry my prop's gonna run into something down there. I mean, that guy's crazy. That guy's got a deep draft. Like, what is he doing there? But he knows where he's going, I guess, or she knows where she's going. And I don't know. But yeah, that's Pigeon Point Beach. You can walk there from the yacht club. There's a lot of places to stay in between that beach and the yacht club. Oh, that blue hold boat that was right on our left right there, that's Marco. He works over at Woodstock, the people that are going to do my arch. He's kind of a friend of mine. You know, we talk pretty regularly. The day before this, I actually stopped over at his boat and hung out and chatted for a little while. Had a beer with him. His girlfriend came into town from Europe. I don't know where she's from. I haven't met her, but that's the reason he moved over by the beach, is because she likes to swim into the beach all the time. And he said the water's really clear over there too, but he's just someone who likes quiet, and so that's not his place for quiet. So here, straight ahead, you can see a bunch of super yachts. So when I filmed this, I believe this was Monday, and the super yacht show started on Thursday. Now the show is for charters, so it's for yachts that are available for charter, not just people's privately owned super yachts. These are yachts that you can actually rent and take out with a captain and crew. So smaller ones off to the right, and then they get bigger as we go to the left. I'm going to cruise probably a little closer to the yachts than they would love, but they don't care. They're used to dinghies buzzing around them all the time. Doesn't bother them, but you can see they get bigger. That's a really big one, and I'm going to cruise right by that really, really big one. Yeah, that's that, you know, $200+ million yacht that we're going around right now. We're going to see a couple of bigger ones though in a minute. But yeah, and I'm still cruising. I didn't slow down. That's just a really, really big boat. It's over 80 meters. It's massive. Yeah, so we're headed toward the yacht club. The yacht club's on the right. These boats are all moored at the yacht club docks. The docks kind of come out in a zigzag pattern, so that all these boats can fit. Such big boats. But yeah, that's the yacht club kind of straight ahead there. There's Starfire. That was the first super yacht to come in this season, and they just been chilling. They move around a little bit every now and then. They, you know, sometimes they'll move over to go get fuel over at the other dock at Falmouth Marina, but they've been here the whole season. And then, ooh, yeah, just more. But there's more boats there now, because I'm filming this audio track. I'm watching this on the laptop right now, but I'm filming currently. The audio you're hearing is on Thursday, the first day of the show. So that right there is where I go in. Right there, that's where I go in when I go to the yacht club. That's where the common area is that I talk about with the cafes and stuff. You can see that upper level bar right there. So I go there a lot. Right now I'm headed towards the town dock. So this is further up the road. The yacht club it's not a dead-end road, but it's where, anyway, this is the busiest corner in English Harbor up here. Dead ahead, kind of to the left, that two-story building, that's the gas station. You can see a couple of their big tanks there. They're big off to the left, those big white tanks. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of restaurants over there. But yeah, you can see all the dinghies there. That's town dock. It's kind of slow right there. I mean, it gets packed. Sometimes it's 2 dinghies deep. You got to crawl over someone else's dinghy to get off. But there's just not a ton of places to park a dinghy. But I've been here long enough. I know some other places. So if it gets too busy, I don't have to go there. That one, you know, that's a super yacht, but it's not as big as some of these really, really big ones. But they're washing the side down. It just came from its crossing probably, but I don't know where it was, but it got there recently, so they're just starting to clean it up. I think it came in the day before that. That's a big sailboat. That's a local guy that owns that. Apparently it's not here very often. That is the new queen bitch in the harbor right there, Sophia, with a PH. I mean, that boat that's inside there, right there on the side, that's a 25-foot boat, just tucked away down there. But yeah, Sophia is a monster. I don't know. And then there's the second biggest one right here, this gray one. Thing looks brand new. It's like battleship gray. It's like a matte finish. You know, that's become popular in cars, and apparently it's going to become, or it is becoming popular in boats as well. I think it's ugly because it looks like a military vessel, and that just makes it ugly to me, just to think war, but whatever. There's no doubt it is a very nice boat, and a very big boat. So I'm headed dead ahead here, past this boat. I'm turning and looking at it so y'all can really see it, but to the left here, which is dead ahead of where my dinghy's headed, there's a dock that is just used. Well, this is, first of all, this is Falmouth Marina that these boats are parked at, so this is different than the yacht club. In Falmouth Marina, they have, you know, more fuel services. There's more services, I guess, available there. So there's a dock right there that we're not going to go to, but I use that to go to Budget Marine right there sometimes, and the dive shop. And then Zelma's restaurant is right there. The yellow house that's Zelma's house. Here's the little marker buoys for the channel. It's really shallow right there. It's probably, I don't know, 7-8 feet deep right there at the turn. But Zelma's restaurant, I eat lunch there a lot, traditional Caribbean food. But I get a massive plate of food for 27 EC, which would be about, what, $11? 11 and change. It's a huge plate of food. You never know what they're going to have, but it's always good. They know me there. Jessica knows me. I eat there a lot. It's nice to be known. It's nice when people are looking at you like you're a tourist, and you walk in, there's other tourists around, and Jessica's like, "Oh, hey Phil, how's it going? How are you today?" And makes me feel special. Makes them jealous, right? Yeah, so this is the sailing club dock. That's the one that I used to swim off of when I was staying at the sailing club. But actually, you know, I come here all the time because the Jenny's, the convenience store, it's better than a convenience store. They have a lot of stuff, but Jenny's is right around down the road right there. This is the closest dock to Jenny's. And since I know the sailing club people, or the sailing academy people, they don't care if I use the dock. I see Allison there like every other day. We exchange pleasantries and say hi and whatnot, and they're totally cool with me using that dock. And so I walk down to Jenny's. That's where I can buy the cheapest beer, the cheapest rum, and also that's where the machine is, the reverse osmosis kind of vending machine for water. So that's where all the locals and me, and probably some other tourists that are in the know, go there to fill our water jugs, because it's less than half the cost of buying a jug of water brand new. So I go there about every other day to go refill a 5-liter jug of water, and then pick up a few beers while I'm there. You never know what beer they're gonna have, just because, hey, it's coming in on containers, and you just never know what it's gonna be. So yeah, on the left there where that boat's beached, that's Zelma's house and restaurant. And then you can't really see it up there on the left, but you can see how shallow it is right there. But there's a dock up there. Okay, y'all, let's do some fishing. It's getting dark, but that's when we go fishing. Get a good cast. Gotta go all the way to the bow. That way, got no obstructions, and I can swing around and get a solid cast out there. So I got a lot of rocks right below me. So it's actually a decent place to fish right off the boat here. Not the best place to anchor, because my anchor chain rubs on the rocks. I'm gonna move maybe tomorrow, I don't know, if I get the courage. We'll see, because it is by myself. So I finally got this rod and reel. Found a store in town, picked it up. I threw a lure on there and pitched it in the water last night, and I had a snag in the line because it's, you know, brand new. So I'm messing around getting the snag out of the line while the lure sinks to the bottom. It's about 20 feet right here, and I got a fish. It was like the first time I threw it out there. I didn't even get it out, and I had a snag. I got a fish, but it was a lousy fish. It's a little red fish. It's a reef fish. It's called a squirrel fish. It's got big, huge, buggy eyes. It's red. Looks like an overgrown goldfish. And then he had crazy prickly fins on his dorsal fin up top. And I had a towel, and I doubled up the towel because they look sharp, and man, were they sharp. And Sil gave me some bait. Actually, yeah, I just threw that in the cockpit. The sailing instructor over at the Sailing Academy gave me some little fish that he grabbed this morning or this afternoon. So I'm going to throw some dead bait fish on the line and cast those out here in a second. But while we still had a little light, I thought I would show you how I fish here on the boat. And yeah, it's all the way up in the bow. But yeah, Sil said, I told him about that fish, the little squirrel fish, and he was like, ah, I hate those little fuckers. Oops, I cursed. That's not good on YouTube. But, yeah, but hey, I caught one, so that's better than catching nothing. But yeah, I'm gonna throw those fish on the hook here in a minute, and then hopefully I'll get a real fish. Although I don't even have a fillet knife yet. I've tried to buy knives at the store in town and they are garbage. So I gotta find a place that has a decent fillet knife. I'll go back to that fishing store. I got in there right before they closed the other night, so I was in a hurry. But I'm going to town tomorrow actually. So I'll dip in there, see if I can get a fillet knife, and then maybe actually keep some fish. All right. Well, I'd rather be sleeping. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, but there's no sleeping when it's doing this outside. I don't know if you can hear it. I doubt you can see me. I'm in the cockpit now. I mean, I'm under the cover of the canvas. But it's been doing this for an hour and a half. Eventually the canvas soaks through. It starts dripping water down on me. But I'd rather be outside because it's nice and cool out here. Down below in the boat, it's a little stuffy. Oh my God, all my pillows are soaked that I use outside. Oh my God. Yeah, the canvas is failing. It can only take so much rain, you know? It's not waterproof. I have Dorade vents, so there's a little breeze coming through that vent right there from up on the deck. And I got several of those around the boat, but still just gets a little stuffy down here. I don't think the camera does great with the lights. Yeah, there's only one vent up here in the V berth, and it's not a Dorade vent. It's just a, I don't know what you call it, but it doesn't flow much air. So up here in the V berth where I sleep, it's pretty stuffy, pretty warm. So I just don't want to be there right now. But hey, you know, this is the thing they don't talk about on the sailing channels, on the popular sailing channels. They only show you cool videography of them holding hands and jumping off the boat into the beautiful clear water when they arrive at an anchorage. Well, for every day of that, there's a day of this. This is a torrential downpour. It's been going on for an hour and a half, and I mean, the thing is, like, you know, the weather is just normal weather forecast today. They didn't say, hey, you might get a giant squall today that's gonna soak you for a while. No. Normally we get squalls. We get squalls every day. Well, most days. But it rains for 1-2 minutes. A bad squall, it'll rain for 5 minutes. But every now and then we get one that rolls through for a while. But you don't know when it's gonna happen. And yeah, it happens often enough. Way more often than you would think based on all the sailing channels you watch. Anyway, just saying. We'll see how long this one lasts. Such is life. There's plenty of nights I don't get a lot of sleep, whether it's for this reason or whether it's because the boat's rocking and rolling too much. Or there's no wind and the boat's like just turning around in all kinds of directions, and you know, you get in tune with your boat, and when your boat's turning around in weird directions, you can't sleep. Like, your body just knows that the motion isn't normal, and it won't let you sleep. It puts you on alert, you know. That's the way your brain works. So there's plenty of nights where I don't get a lot of sleep. So this is just another one of those nights, I guess. But we'll see. I doubt it'll last that long. But you never know. It might last all night. I don't know. We'll see. Well, that was not a fun night. Yeah, it rained. It rained. It finally stopped at like 2 in the morning. And so I went to bed, opened up the hatch. There wasn't a lot of wind. The wind started to pick up a little bit, which was nice. And then the boat started rocking. And I mean rolling. It was rough. This boat was, yeah, there was a big swell coming from the south, I guess, coming right into the anchorage. It's happened like that maybe twice before since I've been out here. And it's hard to sleep when it's rolling that bad. So I don't know. I got no more than, I don't know, 3 hours of sleep maybe. I don't know. It was rough. It's finally letting up, but it's, you know, 8:30 in the morning now. So I'm just being lazy, not wanting to get rolling this morning. It's still cloudy. Could rain any minute, it looks like. So I'm still hanging out in bed up in my V berth, you know, my little cozy little V berth with my nice hatch overhead. The breeze is blowing right now. It feels pretty great actually, but yeah. So I have an appointment at the consulate at 2 o'clock in town in St. John, and it's like a good probably half-hour walk from the bus station to get up to where the consulate is. So I'll have to get there early. So I'll have lunch in town today probably, and I don't know what else I need. I've got a list, you know. I'll probably buy a few things while I'm in town, but oh, I guess the reason I'm going to go to the consulate is to see if I can get a new passport order, because my passport expires in 27. So since I'm stuck here, I was thinking, like, what else could I take care of while I'm stuck here? And I was like, well, maybe I could renew my passport. So but it just hit me just now when I said that I should probably have a passport photo. I'm sure they will let me email them a digital one these days, right? I don't know. I haven't gotten a passport in a long time, but you never know. Silly government bureaucracies, they may require a hard photo still. I don't know. We'll see. I wonder where I could get a passport photo. I remember seeing someone post on the WhatsApp group for English Harbor weeks ago, well, maybe a week ago, that they did passport photos. Maybe I'll scroll back. That WhatsApp group is like 80 to 90 messages a day. It's crazy. So I'd have to scroll back a long ways. I don't know if I'd be able to find it, but regardless, yeah, I gotta go to town today. So It's the, you know, 45-minute bus ride into town. And then you gotta catch the bus, which can take a little while sometimes. But anyway, yeah, rough night, but it happens sometimes, you know. Like I was just talking about, in the middle of the night, those sailing channels don't talk a ton about it usually, but it happens, and it happens fairly often. So that's just part of life on the boat, I guess. Part of the cruising life. I'm not cruising yet. I'm just living on a boat, but I'm surrounded by cruisers. I can pop up through the hatch. I mean, there's a lot of cruisers. I'm gonna zoom this thing. Can I zoom this thing? Nope, can't zoom it. I think I can zoom it in the menu. I don't know. I don't even really know how to use that menu. There's all the super yachts. You see, cloudy, cloudy, cloudy. It'll clear up though. If it's cloudy in the morning, it usually clears up by like 11. Oh. Okay. Just wanted to give y'all a little peek into daily life. Maybe I'll film some going into town today. Okay, so here we are. Just left the bus station in St. John, the big bustling capital city of Antigua. It's a long bus ride over to St. John. Just takes a while. There are some nice big wide roads out by the airport, but between English Harbor and St. John, which is all the way across the island, there's no big roads. It's just little bitty 2-lane roads the whole way. So it's a 45-minute bus ride. And then I left the bus station and I walked past the fish market and the meat market, which you didn't get to see. And then I had to duck under an awning for a little while as we had a giant rainstorm. So you can see it's very, very wet. And there's not as many people out and about as normal. This is Market Street. This is like one of the main drags that runs north-south through town. You know, it's an old downtown. It's not great. I mean, there's just no, I don't want to just trash the place or anything, but man, what a shithole. It's kind of typical, I guess, you know, for an island town. But you know, parts of it look kind of cool with the really, really old buildings where somebody's maybe, you know, unlike this building coming up, you know, maybe somebody did a nice paint job on an old wood building, and you know, there's a cool little cafe upstairs on one of those called Hemingway's. I haven't been in there yet. I'm gonna go in there one of these days. And then, you know, there's a couple little parts here and there that look okay, but for the most part, man, it's lousy. We're gonna come up to where the cruise ships pull in, and it's like, why there's some cruise ship people right there. You can kind of tell them, right? Why do cruise ships want to come here? I don't understand, but whatever they do. They have a deep water harbor that goes right into town. I don't know if they dredged it, I have no idea, but the cruise ships, you know, they come right up to the dock, right at the edge of town. That store is Flow. That's one of the 2 major cell phone providers. There's Digicel and Flow. I went with Digicel. I don't know. What can I say? I have very strong opinions already. I'm loyal. There's some tours. There's some cruise ship people that jumped in a rickshaw and they're going to get a 10-cent tour around town. See this beautiful town of St. John. Get it, man. You go to other parts of the island, it's awesome. You know, it's still an island. It's still kind of run down most of the time, but oh, there's the Digicel store on the right. That's where I got my phone. But man, there's some beautiful beaches around the coasts of Antigua. But you know, as a tourist coming in on a cruise ship, it just seems like a shame to me that this is what you see, because you're not here that long. So there's the cruise ships over there to the left. You can see one way back there, but that's the cruise ship dock. We're not going to go down there. This is going to be a real short little video because, you know, I'm walking around with a camera at my waist, trying to be inconspicuous, but because I just don't want to look like a total tool walking around with a GoPro camera. But I wanted to give you guys just a little glimpse, at least, into what, you know, what I'm living, what the city looks like. But yeah, down by the cruise ship docks, they do have like a nice little outdoor mall they built with, you know, nice plazas, and it's kept very, very clean. It's very modern. and it's all, you know, duty-free shops. So the cruise ship people like to shop there. And I mean, I guess that's what you do on a cruise when you go to these crappy towns, is you just go buy duty-free goods. I don't know. I mean, it seems like you could get better stuff cheaper at home, but I don't know. Who am I to judge? I don't know. And I don't know where they live. I don't know where they come from. I don't know what their deal is. Some people love cruises. I don't think it's for me, but I don't know. I shouldn't judge. I've never even been on one. I'm sure there's some really cool things about those boats, though. If you get one that's got really good food and everything's all inclusive, it'd be pretty bitchin', I bet. Get some good shows. Get a good comedian on board. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm walking here. I mentioned briefly this morning actually on a video that I took for y'all as to that I was coming to town to get my passport renewed. You know, I was just thinking about it. I was like, all right, I'm stuck in Antigua. I'm going to be here for a while. I've decided I'm going to be here until at least the middle of January. And yes, I'm brave. Yes, I do walk around the streets in the middle of cars, and yes, the cars do come very close to me. But that's just what people do here, man. I just was watching the locals from moment one when I was walking around St. John, and that's just what you do, because the sidewalks are trash and there's giant holes in the concrete. You really have to watch where you're walking, or you could really hurt yourself. Yeah, the sidewalks are in real bad shape. So I use them sometimes, but when the sidewalk gets lousy or there's a lot of people on them, I jump in the road and I just dodge the cars. I just act like a local, man. I own the place, you know, that's me. What can I say? But anyway, I've resigned to being in Antigua till the middle of January at least. More realistically, probably beginning of February. I don't know. But yeah, you know, knowing that I'm going to be here in Antigua for a long time, I was just thinking about it. I'm like, all right, what else can I knock out? What else can I take care of that I don't have to deal with down the road? And you know, my passport expires in 27, which is a ways away. But if I end up loving the cruising life, and especially if I get someone else on the boat that loves the cruising life and doesn't want to do it seasonally, you know, doesn't want to put the boat on the hard during the hurricane season and fly back to the States and hang out in the States and then come back to the boat, you know, if I get somebody that wants to just stay on the boat and keep cruising, you know, at least for a while, you know, whether that's, you know, locally in the Americas and Central and South America, or whether that means going around the world, who knows? But if that happens, you know, my passport would be coming up for expiration, and it would be an issue, because when you want to get your passport renewed, it means you got to go to your local embassy or consulate and you got to wait, and it depends where you are as to how long it takes. So I went to the consulate. I emailed the consulate. I don't know what you call that person. I don't know. I'm sure there's some fancy name for the government church of the consulate, but she emailed me back and I said, hey, I want to look into renewing my passport. Can I make an appointment? Because they work by appointment only. And she said, yeah, you know, I got appointments these days. And so I made the appointment. Well, she didn't tell me, you know, what I needed to do to renew my passport, which she could have. I didn't see it on a website or anything, but so I showed up just, you know, gonna find out what I need. I was able to scroll back on WhatsApp and find the message from the person, Anya, that does passport photos here in English Harbor. So I did that morning. I messaged her. She was available, so we met at the yacht club, and she took my passport photos and printed them off on a portable little printer that she has. And so I had the passport photos with me when I went, but I didn't have any of the other things that I needed. So I got there and I'm waiting in the waiting room before I see Her Majesty, and there's, you know, some papers, and one of them's like everything you need to get your passport. And I'm reading through it and it's nice and organized and detailed, and I'm like, shoot. And the person that let me in the front door, the receptionist person, she's like, you okay? And I was like, well, I don't have any of this. And she was like, you didn't know you needed any of that? And I was like, no. She's like, how'd you make the appointment? I said, you know, Her Majesty emailed me back. And she was like, oh my God, she didn't tell you you needed any of that stuff? Okay. And I was like, well, look, I can't get any of this done by the time my appointment, you know. I said, what time are you here till? You know, she said 4 o'clock. I said, well, if I can get all this taken care of, is there any way that I can just do it today? Or, you know, if not, it's fine. I was trying to be like super nice. I'm like, if not, it's fine. I'll just make another appointment and we can do it then, you know. But really, I wanted to get it taken care of. You know, I had walked dodging rainstorms all morning, and, you know, took the hour-long trip into town, and then walked over 30 minutes from the bus station to get to the consulary office. So I was really hoping to get it taken care of. So luckily the receptionist gal was super cool, and she was like, yeah, look, here's how you do it. She's like, you're going to fill the online stuff out. You're going to go to Harper's Office Depot. They're not too far down there. She's like, are you driving? I was like, no, I'm walking. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, I walked past that. It was not far. It's like people are averse to walking in this place. I don't know. But so she told me what to do. So I sat there in the office in the air conditioning and filled out all the online stuff, which, you know, took a half hour or whatever. And then I walked down to Harper's, and that was, you know, typical island stuff. Took forever. But eventually also helped that I had a lovely attitude, and I got rewarded for it, because there were two people there who weren't having a lovely attitude about having to wait, and she went ahead and printed my stuff off before she helped them, and they were pissed. And they were locals too, and the locals don't like it when the white boy gets helped out before they do. But anyway, I got back to the consulate, and the only thing I didn't have was the self-addressed DHL or FedEx envelope. But I had everything else, and so she let me go in and see Her Majesty. So I went in, and she was pretty cool. She's like, you got your photos, you got everything? Yeah. She was like, okay, here's what you're gonna do for the envelope. She's like, go ahead and just go down to this place. This is where I'm gonna go tomorrow morning. This is where I ship the stuff. She's like, go down there, and they'll know what to do. They know me, but they'll sell you an envelope, and you're gonna ship it back to them. They'll call you when your passport arrives. You can go pick it up, and then you bring it to me, and then I'll finalize it and take your old passport and all that stuff. I'm like, great. So that should take 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks, which I'm going to be here 6 weeks. I know that. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing it, man. So I went ahead and paid the fees and filled everything out and walked down to the shipping place, which was on my way back to town anyway. So yeah, got that taken care of. I got a passport on order. So I'm excited. So I'm not going to have to deal with that for another 10 years. So that's pretty cool. Update, you know, what else is going on? Let's see. I still have no word back from the U.S. Coast Guard about my boat registration, or the agency that's working on that for me. But they weren't going to update me on anything. You know, it's just like a wait and wait and wait, and then, hey, it's here kind of thing. So still no word. I don't expect that anytime soon. Like I said, that's part of me factoring in being here so long. So I'm not worried about that, whatever. And then I'm hoping to get a call from the boat builder, Woodstock, who's going to do my arch. I'm hoping to get a call from them any day now. They were really backed up with work with the super yachts, trying to get ready for the charter show. But that charter show started today. I'm filming this on Thursday, and that charter show started today. So those boats needed to be ready. I'm sure they're still going to do some last minute stuff, but my turn should come up soon at Woodstock. So in fact, I should check my email. I'm going to do that after we finish here, but I'm going to hopefully hear from them soon, and they'll get to work on that. No word on my order of my batteries and my electronics, which isn't great because they still haven't sent me any paperwork on that. They're going to want money from me, I know that, and they still haven't asked for any or given me anything. So that's probably not in the works yet, but like I said, I won't be here a while, and I'm in a situation right now where I'm making it work with what I have, and the only people it sucks for is my neighbors. I'll get into that in a minute. Well, we can do that right now. But you know, with the electronics order, it's kind of like it's island time, man. Like, that's what it is. That's just how it goes when you're on the island, and you just gotta be okay with it, you know. And I'm okay with it. It's like there's a dude, local guy that I talk to down at Jenny's all the time. He's really nice. He's cool. He's always super nice to me because, you know, he wants me to be a customer. But he works. I rode the bus with him yesterday, and so we chatted for a while. He works down in St. John at a dispensary because they have medical marijuana here, and marijuana is pretty widely accepted here these days. I mean, people just smoke it in their cars all the time with their windows down. You can smell it all the time. But he was telling me, he was like, yeah, he was asking me how things are going. You know, we were talking. He's like, island time, man. It's like, you got to just be cool with it. I was like, hey, you don't know me really, but that's my personality, man. Like, I fit right in with that. I get along just fine with island time. So yeah, that's just what it is. But I'm excited because I'm making my electrical system work for me right now, because I finally was looking into how I could get that 2,000 watt generator to work with that Victron MultiPlus 3000 unit. But I was looking at like other options for a battery charger to run off that generator between the generator and the batteries, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I have a Victron MultiPlus 3000. I have like arguably the best battery charger in the world. Why would I consider anything else? Sorry, I'm hearing something weird. I was afraid it was about to rain or something. But why would I go get anything else? So I look online about changing the parameters of the Victron MultiPlus, changing the parameters of either the input amperage or watts or whatever, or changing the charging output. And you know, when I got online, there's like nothing online at all. When you get on YouTube, which I guess is online, but when you get on YouTube, not the Googles, there's videos definitely about how to change the parameters of the Victron, but you have to have the dongle. Well, I don't have the dongle, and to plug into the Victron unit, and then you connect to the app through your phone or your computer. The dongle unit, you know, they don't sell that at Budget Marine, so I can't get that here on the island. So finally I just got the manual out, because I have a similar type inverter. I don't have a Victron, but I have an Ames, but I have a similar inverter in my RV, and it has dip switches on it where you can adjust the dip switches and make some changes to the parameters of the unit. So I just downloaded the manual for the Victron, and sure enough, it has dip switches. So I crawled in the dungeon, I took off the cover of the Victron unit, I found the dip switches, did what the manual said. It was a whole process, and now I can charge my batteries with my 2,000 watt Honda generator. It's fantastic. So sucks for my neighbors, because you know, I need to run that generator. It all depends on how much sunlight and wind we get, but on a typical day I need to run that generator for an hour to an hour and a half. If we have clouds, a lot of clouds and rain and not a lot of wind like yesterday, I need to run the generator a little longer, more like 2 hours. Now a few days ago it was crazy windy. I mean crazy windy. I didn't run my generator for over a day and a half, because the wind generator on the boat was providing a ton of power, but it takes a lot of wind for that to happen. But when the wind really picks up, that wind generator, man, it's just basically an alternator, you know, attached to the windmill, and man, it can put out a lot of power when it really gets humming. But anyway, so it sucks for my neighbors that they have to listen to my generator, but it's what it is, man. Like, I'm trying, you know, I'm trying. I have solar panels, I have batteries on order. I'm trying to not run the generator, right? And I wish that I could communicate that to them, my neighbors, that is, because I feel bad for them. Because I mean, there are some other people running their generators, but no one right around me. But people come and go every day. My neighbors change pretty much. I got some funny new neighbors. They came in last night. 2 boats came in together. You know, boats in pretty rough condition. You know, they probably were bought pretty cheap. One of them's a pretty big boat though, probably a 44 footer. The other one's maybe a 38 footer, but one of them's got a Danish flag, one's got a Swedish flag, and it's young kids on these 2 boats together. I don't know who's on what boat, because they're always all hanging out on the big boat. The smaller boat, I think they're right over my anchor actually, whatever, but kids. But they all just hang out on the big boat, it looks like, all the time, because they're right next to me. But they're young. I mean, they're in their 20s, so that's kind of cool to see, because most of the people around here are over 60 for sure, over 65, most of them. So it's nice to see some really young people. I'm in the middle, of course. I feel young around this community of cruisers, until I see some 20-somethings, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not very young. But yeah, there's only one dark-haired dude in that group. He's probably the Dane. I don't know. The rest of them, they're all tall and blonde. But anyway, they're not going to care about my generator, because I don't know, they may have a generator they have to run too. I don't know. They do have a lot of solar on their boat though. They have this huge hard cover over their cockpit. It's got a lot of solar on it, so maybe they don't have to run a generator. But there's places in the anchorage where there's multiple people running generators. There's some charter cats that run their air conditioner all night and don't have a big battery bank, and so they run their generators all night. But I can't hear them. They're far enough away. The only person I hear running the generator is Ben, my buddy, and he runs his 2-3 times as much as I do because he has an air conditioner and he uses it. But and his battery bank is old like mine, but he's not going to be replacing his anytime soon. So let's see. I talked about that. What do I have going on? Well, the big news for me is I got my Starlink activated. So it took a lot of back and forth. It was a problem because my address and my credit card billing address are in the States, but my location is in Antigua, and I really wanted to... Did I talk about this already? I don't think so. I'll be quick. But I really wanted to get it registered in Antigua to get the service started because it's cheaper that way. It's only $104 US a month for unlimited internet for me. Now it's a Starlink Mini, the Roam package. It's not. It is high speed. I have watched videos. You know, I got on Amazon Prime and I streamed a video. I haven't done it as much as I thought I would because I really just enjoy sitting out in the cockpit and listening to tunes at night. But I think I watched 2 episodes of Gen V. But anyway. It streams no problem. One time it paused for like maybe a minute or 2, I don't know, but otherwise it streamed fine. So super excited about that. I will be able to work on this video in the boat. I won't have to go to the yacht club, to the marina, to the cafe area, the common area to borrow their Wi-Fi to upload this to YouTube. I don't know how long it's going to take. I've heard that on your Starlink Roam package with your mini satellite, that it can take some time to upload a YouTube video, because when I'm over on the Wi-Fi over there, it takes over an hour depending on how long the video is, and I'm sure this will be a long one because good God, they're getting longer and longer. And I mean, I've been talking right now for 15 minutes, but anyway, I'm excited. I'm gonna be able to work on this on the boat, which is super cool. What else is going on? What am I working on? Oh, I'm working on the water maker. So I got into the water maker. Ugh. The system just, I don't know, it just looks dirty, but maybe that's just because it hasn't been cleaned. I don't know. And I'm talking about the outside of the components, not the inside. Who knows what the inside looks like? But was it pickled? It was in storage for 18 months. Was it pickled? I don't know. They say the pickling is only good for 6 months, but I went and talked to the guy who specializes in water makers here on the island. He's right here on the harbor. I talked to him, and he said, you know, phooey on that. He said, if it got pickled, it might be fine. He said, we're not going to replace your membranes yet. Those are expensive and hard to get. Well, not hard to get, but they're expensive and it takes time. He said, get that system running and run it for 6-7 hours, and then take a sample and bring it to me, and we'll find out if your membranes are good or not. So that's cool, but I just got to get it running. So I didn't know anything about water makers, how they work. This is not a system that's like, you know, from a manufacturer complete as a system. This is like a system that is assembled from individual components that were all shipped by a company to the boat owner, and then the boat owner is responsible for actually laying out where the system's going to go and figuring out how to assemble all the components and install everything. So it was kind of a home-built system, but it came from a company. So it's like, you know, that way you know you're getting all components that'll be compatible and work together and all that. But anyway, it's kind of spread out in multiple places in the boat. And so there is paperwork, you know, there is a manual, but it's not like, it's not a manual from a manufacturer. And there's a couple of diagrams that the boat owner who installed it made. But when I didn't know what I was looking at, there's a lot to it, it's complicated. So it took me hours of just following lines around and looking at the diagram and watching you know, a couple of good YouTube videos that people did, luckily, about water makers on boats. And so I was able to eventually, after many hours, well, I guess not that many hours, but whatever, several hours, I kind of understand. I got a grasp on it now. I know what's going on with the system. The high pressure pump, which is the heart of the system, well, I guess the membranes are really the heart of the system, but the pump is important, and those are expensive, and there's no plumbing connected to the pump, so that's worrisome. Why not? And then I followed the power wire out of the pump, and it was just dead end wire, just bare wires. And I'm like, great. So I went and bought a plug at Budget Marine and put the plug on the end of the wire, and then I got the generator going, plugged into the shore power, got the inverter going and plugged in the pump, because I plugged in the pump directly to the inverter, or the generator, the little Honda generator, and it was asking for too much power. The same thing, you know, that the battery charger did. Too much power from that little generator, and so it tripped the AC protection on the generator immediately when I plugged the pump in. So, but they had told me they used the generator for the water maker, but maybe they were actually just running the generator to provide more power to the AC system while they ran the water maker. So that's what I did. And then I plugged the plug into one of the outlets here on the boat, and the pump did kick on. It ran. So, well, the motor ran. You know, I don't know if the actual pump part is working, but at least the motor works. You know, I only just ran it like for 1 second twice, just to, you know, make sure it was working, and it is. So that's good news, at least. So now the next step is I need to get in and hook up the plumbing to the high pressure pump, and then make sure all my other connections are hooked up, which I think they are, and then I need to figure out how to run the water maker. So that's going to take me some hours, some time, but that's my next step there, working on that water maker. And I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to do it. I got to figure that thing out. We got to get that water maker working before I can go off and go cruising. Well, I mean, you can live without a water maker, but it's a hassle. You got to dinghy jerry cans back and forth from a fresh water source all the time, and I don't want to do that. That's what I'm doing now, but I don't want to do that. And I'm also having to walk over to get drinking water all the time, which is a pain in the butt. And the water maker makes drinking water quality water, so you just have to have your you know, the tank that it goes to be clean enough for drinking water, and the hoses that run from the tank through your freshwater system have to be clean enough for drinking water. And I'm not sure about my hoses, my freshwater pressurized hoses. I think there's a leak somewhere, an air leak, because the water pump, when I'm running water out of the faucets, it'll sputter a lot and struggle. So I got to get into that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to commit to replacing all the freshwater lines, you know, during the next 6, 7, 8 weeks that I'm here. I just got to make that a project. It's like, I'm here, I just got to do it. You know, I gotta get off my butt and work harder, man. Work harder. You know, I'm over the feeling sorry for myself, feeling overwhelmed with, you know, being brand new to the boat, and, you know, maybe a little bit of fear and anxiety and being overwhelmed and all that stuff. Man, that's over. I'm on the boat. I'm comfortable on the boat. I got things working, more things working, week by week, day by day. I'm getting things working. So it's time to work harder for sure. But yeah, I gave you a lot today, and when I stop talking here, that's when the real work starts. The recording's the easy part. Now I got to figure out how to do some actual editing on this thing. I'm going to be working on this for several days, I bet. Today's Thursday, December 3rd, 4th, I don't know. I don't have my phone. But it's Thursday, 3rd or 4th, and we'll see how long it takes before I get this thing uploaded. We'll see how long it takes me to figure out how to do this editing stuff. And yeah, but appreciate you guys watching. I hope the video turns out good. I hope I don't just put it out of frustration when it's all crappy. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk again soon. Thanks, guys.